In this video, I will explain how you can transform your common pickup truck into what is typically used for a heavier truck with more space but less weight, and without throwing out your pickup truck bed. Staying with the F150 to F350 size pickup truck has many advantages. I will list a few. 1. Fuel consumption. 2. Weight savings. 3. Engine size. 4. Body size. 5. Repair costs. 6. Part costs. 7. Inspection costs. 8. Insurance costs. 9. Parking off the street costs. 10. Space savings. 11. Parkway access. 12. Versatility of use. 13. Replacement cost and depreciation. Therefore, for these reasons and for the purpose of this video, we are trying to stay within the typical pickup models. 52-inch wide bed utility box trucks are a whole different ballgame and can only be considered economical if you are going to move into larger loads above what we are talking about here. We propose that this may be unnecessary for your business. How the new design came to be. The genesis of a new truck cab. After years of our company considering what was on the market, we came to terms with the fact that if we wanted something effective for carrying all our tools, as well as efficient within the pickup model, we would need to build the better utility top ourselves. This top isn't just another product. It's the solution that's built for contractors who need to get the most out of the available space that they might be able to utilize on their pickup truck effectively. My problem with the typical design. Length. Rather than having a typical wide bed, most near pickup width utility boxes on the market are 10 feet long to make up for a loss in width. However, the longer truck and a crew cab makes for difficult to impossible parking. And with the typical utility box, you cannot park it in a residential neighborhood overnight without getting tickets and eventually getting your tools stolen out of the truck. Especially when you need to park it in a commercial area where there are no people who can watch it. Everyone knows it's a tool truck full of precious tools. You can't hide anything from the thieves or the parking police who will ticket you. But the point of all this is that you may not need the extra length in truck if you have a better designed truck. My problem with the typical design. Numerous locked compartments. A considerable problem we had with the typical utility tops is that there are a lot of locked compartments outside the truck, which are difficult to get to. This is especially true if it is raining or snowing, which will allow all your tools and you to get wet while you search every box, locking and unlocking them looking for that missing part or tool. And if it gets dark, then you have more problems. It should be obvious that it is better to do these kinds of things inside the truck and away from traffic. Argument. But the first question is really not do you want the toolboxes on the outside or the inside, but what size truck do you really want? When there is at least a 52-inch width bed intact in the construction of a utility box, the same size as a F350 bed, which is usually not the case, we certainly have less to complain about. Most of the time they are only 40 inches in width. The boxes are taking up significant space in the bed. Additionally, the top 25% of the box typically infringes above what would be the top of a pickup truck bed, or where we would be putting that percentage of our cap for inside use. The point is that these trucks are already dedicated to the extra weight of a utility box for tools outside the truck. This makes it impractical to justify building higher. 40-inch or 52-inch wide. By the time we get to this point, the truck weighs too much to keep going. You are now into a truck that is fully invested into the commercial world of heavier trucks with a dually. The typical pickup truck bed we are talking about is only around 375 pounds. If you replace this with a 10-foot utility bed to gain back the lost space, you are now talking about a weight between 200 and 1,500 pounds. You could go with aluminum, but you're still going to be over twice the weight, somewhere between 800 and 1,000 pounds. If you have a large crew of men, so that you need that much more space, we would agree that starting out with the boxed base would be the right way to go. However, at that point, we are no longer talking your typical F350 pickup truck. And all other kinds of larger truck options come into play. You are out of the single-wheel F350 range size and weight. Granted, with either of our two options you are better off with an extra spring, but an extra two-tire dually is not as important. A dually is typically recommended and often necessary for carrying a 10-foot utility box, especially if it's made of steel and loaded with equipment. A dually provides better weight distribution across 4 rear tires, helping to support the heavier load of a large utility box, especially one weighing between 800 to 1,500 pounds, plus the added weight of any tools or equipment inside. Suspension. For the bigger of the two boxes we have, a dually is more suitable to carry it. However, if you add an extra spring, that can work too. Please consult with a spring shop. Jensen & Mitchell is a well-established truck spring and suspension specialist with multiple locations in New Jersey, including Jersey City, Newark, and Paterson. They have been in business since 1922, making them a trusted name in the region for over 80 years. There are also conversion kits to dually available, but we never felt the need to install one. Another option is the fiberglass version. However, the fiberglass option also has its drawbacks. Although it offers some advantages, like reduced sweating and resistance to corrosion, its weight, due to reinforcement, can be nearly as heavy as steel. The high cost is also a concern, and like the others, the tool shelves in the fiberglass models on the market today limit accessibility and usability. Plus, the risk of damaging it by stacking equipment on top makes it unpractical to carry heavy steel. These Sprinter vans come with a hefty price tag and a narrow and lightweight body similar to any other van. They leave much to be desired in terms of space, functionality, and strength. Also, driving in a van makes you vulnerable when you're sitting right at the front of the vehicle. In any accident, you risk getting crushed, you between the load behind you and the accident in front of you. We are not interested in taking those risks while hauling weight. On the other hand, in the typical Ford F350 pickup, the extra room with the large motor in the front gives you around 7 feet of protection to protect you, which you cannot get in a van. The tops of these vans also lack utility, leading to instability due to a poorly designed structure and suspension for carrying weight way up on those high roofs. It doesn't work for construction very well. The problem with the typical design. Considering moving to the inside, we have found that keeping all the tools on the inside to be a much more practical and convenient solution in our working environment, not only for finding any tool or part, but putting them together or taking them apart or sorting them out, and for any number of reasons. There are a lot of things you can do inside your truck that you simply cannot do or don't want to do in the street. Like, for example, you can easily mount a light to shine over all your tool shelves that you can turn on and off. We have a construction business, so when I go to and get to the job, we partially unload the truck bed, and then we can find ample space to access all the tools we need from the inside of the truck for the remainder of the job. When the job is finished, we load up the truck and bring all the supplies and large tools, like welders, jackhammers, 55-gallon drums, back to the shop where they will be unloaded, while at the same time all the small tools are off the floor out of the way. Why the old design still has a use. I suppose if your truck is often completely full, it might sometimes be better to have boxes on the outside. But if not, if you can access the inside of the truck after you partially unload, then we have understood that it is better to access your tools from the inside and keep everything under cover. But if not, if you can access the inside of the truck after you partially unload, then we have understood that it is better to access your tools from the inside and keep everything under cover. 2 designs. Below I have 2 designs. The first one I will describe has a removable lid, and therefore may also be shorter in height. It sits up above the cab, just high enough to house our roof rack. At only 8 feet long, parking is not such a problem, even in tight spaces like New York City. Having a utility bed that is 10 foot long has its advantages. But in this case, you probably will need to consider sacrificing a crew cab. The second one, which I will get into shortly, is taller, but the lid does not come off. It is just high enough for me to stand in at 64 inches in height, and I am 5'10" or 70 inches tall. Both are good designs. One may be better than the other depending on what you wish to do with it. We also wanted a solution that allows us to easily switch from one pickup to another, and you can do that with these two options. Concerning the removable lid version, where the cap has the versatility to transform, boxing the cap. The first design is made so that you can store things inside. The removable lid makes it easy to load and unload or gain access to tools stored on the inside. Removing or adding the lid can be done in anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes depending on your strength and skill. Note that you can lock up everything, not just tools on the side of the box. The whole truck cap can become a very large toolbox. After you remove the lid, you can store it on the outside or on the inside of the truck bed. There are brackets to mount the lid to on the side of the box. The back door also easily comes off as well. The top is made from two separate pieces of steel which overlap, in such a way that it is impossible for water to get through. Although you will need to caulk around where the cap meets the bed if you want to keep all the water out. Our box frame has excessive strength. It will carry a lot of weight and hardly moves while keeping everything together, even with the back brace off, so that you can unload it while the cap is still keeping everything together. We made 14 bands, as you can see here, made from 1/4 inch steel which leaned into the side of the truck. And this was not a problem in this design. You are not going to do anything like this with those other trucks. Large unstable items will not fit in the truck, nor are their boxes designed to hold the truck together. Placing flat stock on top is also no problem. This cap will hold over 1,000 pounds. Note also that the top is now hanging at the sides here in this photo, and how the sides are holding up. They are not bending here but merely flexing out temporarily. A removable ladder rack can be mounted that extends up to the windshield, allowing you to carry 21-foot steel bars on the roof with ease. Try doing that with a reeding or Knapheide. Concerning the taller box and non-removable lid. Space. We needed a way to carry tools while still transporting larger items like pallets of concrete and 55-gallon steel drums and hoses on the inside of the truck bed. We also needed a strong framework to be able to carry steel bars on a roof and carry flat stock so as to keep it off the windshield. This second cap has enough room to even sleep in the back on a cot, as it keeps all the tools out of the way off the floor so that the tools don't infringe on bed space. There is also a hatch into the driver's compartment that we can fit large supplies through. You can put a freezer on the back seat powered from the cigarette lighter. And in an emergency, I could fit through the hatch. There is a large back door that opens like the typical smaller version truck caps. The large lid keeps the rain off when you are standing at the back of the truck getting tools out, as well as protects you when you may be without a hard hat on your lunch break. I use the string to close it off from the inside. The opening is large enough to get pallets of bricks and cement in and out on a forklift. No more loading and unloading by hand. There are 2 floor brackets I have to transfer the weight from the roof to the bed of the truck. They also ensure that the bed of the truck does not bend or change shape. You can carry around 1,000 pounds of steel on the roof of both truck caps. I did not bolt either cap to the floor. However, there are removable posts that go into the top of the truck bed post holes that can be held in place with heavy steel screws through the inside sheet metal. In the back of the cap, I had an air conditioner that I sat at the back of the truck with some foam board around it while the back door was closed. It worked out pretty well. Wind deflector. I found that the truck liked to wander with the round front which I made in my first design. The point solved that problem, as well as made more space for my ladders and 10-foot lumber. Here is some more photos of the lid, etc. And that's it. And there is my lovely wife posing for a photo, the end. If you are interested in purchasing one of these 2 caps, please let me know and make an offer. If you would like one modified to fit a different kind of truck, that may be possible, as these 2 are made for the Ford F-150. 250, 350 models. By the way, I would not suggest trying to do this yourself. You may find that it takes too much planning, time, labor, and expense in materials. Save yourself the trouble if you can.